Welcome to the Local Government Innovation Series on Future Cities Africa, presented by Business Engineering. Explore the vibrant potential of Kariba, a scenic Zimbabwean town on Lake Kariba's northeastern shore, diving into its key service initiatives, tourism revival strategies, digital transformation efforts, and exciting opportunities for partnerships to drive sustainable growth for the community. I'm your host Dan Klaassen, and in this episode I'm joined by Mayor Ralph Neshamoni of the Municipality of Kariba. Mayor Ralph, welcome. Could you provide us with a brief introduction to Kariba?
Kariba is a beautiful town that's in northwestern Zimbabwe, with a population of about 32,000 people now. The last census put us at 29,000, and we are a tourism-based economy. We come from a industry that stretches back to 7 years in terms of the urban setup, but obviously it's older than that. It's older than 70 years. But I think 7 years ago, I think around 1955, was the decision to work on a dam project, which would then become the largest man-made water reservoir in the world, which is Lake Kariba. We're talking of about 185 billion cubits in terms of the initial capacity of the reservoir. And that became the nucleus of the creation of the Kariba local board, which then translated into a town council and now a municipality. So basically, that's who we are. We are happy people, very diverse people. We have taller people showing up for the quarter, and a very good population that comes in as tourists on a yearly basis.
What key service delivery initiatives, like the polyclinic or road projects, are you prioritizing for Kariba, and how have funding delays impacted your progress?
So you probably appreciate that Zimbabwe has a devolution fund that is being used to finance some of those projects. In our case, our priority areas were the Batonga Polyclinic. We also prioritized the expansion of our public schools. We have 3 public schools that we're targeting to address using funding from central government through the devolution fund. And I think over the past 3 years, we have had an average disbursement of about 12%. So when you allocated, say, 10 million for that kind of, or for those projects, what it means effectively is you're getting about 1.2 million. If you're allocated 1 million, what it means effectively is you're getting about 120,000, which obviously then makes it difficult for you to complete your projects on time, because the small component that is dispersed allows you to start projects, but some of them really have problems getting to finish. So what we've also done is, because we wanted the services done, what we've also done is to then use our resources, our local resources, to undertake those projects with the hope that when central government then makes disbursements, those disbursements can then be used to cover whatever we would have subtracted from our, be it the estates fund or any other form of borrowing that we might have. But we have prioritized the Batonga Polyclinic. We were privileged to work with the local company in the renovation and the rehabilitation of the Polyclinic, which is our oldest high-density area. But we also want all these areas to be set, because our target is to reduce the distance that is traveled by people to polyclinics. Right now, our average distance is about 6 kilometers. It might not seem to be a large distance, but we are a wildlife-prone area, and we would want to reduce that distance, at least in a meaningful sense, to about 1.5 kilometers. So that's why we are really focusing on making sure the Batonga Polyclinic project works out, but also the classrooms for the other schools. The idea is still the same. We don't want our school kids to be traveling longer distances because of the constant activity of wildlife in our urban community.
How has the economic downturn and tourism decline affected Kariba's residents, And what does your tourism revival strategy aim to achieve for the community?
Tourism has been affected. I think the first issue was for a long time we had international publicity issues as a country, an image that is no longer as bad as it was, particularly in the 2000s. And I think that's when we started to witness the decline of tourism, particularly for tourism-based economies like Kariba and other neighboring tourism towns, Victoria Falls, Wange, and all those. And over the years, what has also come to affect tourism has been our inconsistencies in terms of monetary pronouncements. Sometimes people, when they're visiting, they want to know that there is a meaningful position in terms of credit. But we feel that all those issues have been addressed, and also the issues of connectivity were quite very difficult when you have traffic coming from South Africa or New Zealand or Australia. They also want that guarantee that they're going to move into Kariba without any problems. The airport is functional and the road network is trafficable enough so that they can be able to access the destination, enjoy whatever they need to enjoy, and then go back. And one of the other issues also has been limited support from the central government in terms of making sure that the tourism brand or the destination Kariba is supported and has enough attention to marketing and other resources. But what the Kariba tourism revival strategy was done, and I'm really happy to have actively participated in the crafting of that revival strategy. We went with private business because we are also pushing a private sector driven local economy so that we, as policymakers, we respond or we react in the positive to what business really wants so that we create the best environment for business. So we allowed the business community to take the lead in the crafting of the tourism revival strategy. And it focuses on a few things. Number one is the issue of accessibility that I talked about. And part of the strategy's main issues is to then address the revival or the rehabilitation of the Kariba airport. Our airport is a bit old and there are a number of works that need to be done. And so right now, there's a team that we're working with of private business players that are mobilizing resources to also help our efforts so that we can come up with a better airport. The one that we have is no longer sufficient for the kind of traffic that we need to sustain the economy. So it was, number one, the issue of accessibility. There are plans right now from central government to rehabilitate the Harare Kariba Road, which is about a stretch of about 400 kilometers. So when people land at Harare International Airport and travel to the international airport, rather, they have to find their way to Kariba if they want to use road. And the plans are there. We have been given a guarantee that the roads will be working in the next 18 months, and we hope that that will happen. The other area that we were focusing on was the issue of accommodation. We needed to redo our accommodation because we understand that after a certain period, what you have as accommodation facilities might no longer be speaking to the demands in the market. And we've gone through, and as a local authority, we've supported those efforts by making sure that people that are renovating their different accommodation facilities are also given the best support in terms of policies, in terms of taxis, if they've taken a break, if they've demolished. We've also made it easier for them to find their way into reconstructing their facilities so that there's quite some revival. So the shoreline, which we call the Kariba Lakefront, which comprises of the bigger players, Kariba Bay, Katisat, and then now the Mopani Bay that we are advertising for new takers up to an area called Chawara. We have tried to create that zone or make that zone into a special zone for tourism and other economic activity. So that when we taxing and sending our rates to them, we do it in the most cautious ways so that we can be able to get the best out of those companies, because that's where most of our jobs are being created. That's where most of our tourism activities are taking place. So the revival strategy really looks at how we can make it easier for people to do business. Before the strategy, for somebody to operate, say, a houseboat, we needed to comply with 14 statutory requirements, and each requirement would attract a fee, a charge, a license. And we have also tried to make efforts to make sure that we reduce the number of compliance areas, statutory areas that have a charge component, so that business is made easier for those that want to do business. In turn, what it means is our people have jobs. And when they have jobs, the population is happy. There's a certain level of revival. The revival strategy also focuses on the creation of the last key component in MICE, which is the entertainment component. We are transforming a lot of our landscapes, and we've put them up for advertisement, where we want to really create an adventure center or an adventure hub to try and evaluate the tourism endowments that we already have, because people would usually come for just the animals and then the lake and all that. But we need to really explore the potential that water gives us in terms of water sports, the potential that our mountains and the different landscapes and terrains that we have give us in terms of cable car. So we've put up that for advertisement, is applied and all that, so that we create an adventure zone alongside the same lakefront area that I am talking about.
Mayor, can you share your digital transformation strategy for Kariba, the using of innovative tools to address transparency and service delivery challenges?
It's an area that I'm very, very passionate about. And we have also made quite some significant efforts in that regard. So, beginning of last year, I think we were one of the first Zimbabwean towns to invest in a chatbot, because we also felt that, number one, we needed to communicate with our constituency very quickly and very regularly. And to do that, we thought that we needed to invest in the advantages of artificial intelligence. So we invested in a chatbot, and we tailor-made it in such a way that it would address for us the filing of complaints. So where people have any complaint, the chatbot can check that, number one. Number two, if there are reports that are being made in terms of areas that need repairs or whatever, so there's water burst, there's a sewer blockage, there's a pothole somewhere, residents can use that, and that then helps us generate data. So that's the third component that we needed the chatbot for, to generate data for purposes of programming. So at the end of last year, we were able to actually use that data in terms of the programming of 2025. And we had an idea of how much we had, how many sorts we had attended to in terms of water, in terms of sewer, in terms of roads, and all that, in terms of street lights, because the chatbot was helping us compile that. But apart from the chatbot, we using an enterprise resource program, resource planning program. And what we've also done is to also unlock as many modules, including the housing module, because you see, one of the other problems that we had in the past was there was no profiling, particularly in our cemeteries. There was no profiling in terms of social housing. Sometimes you don't know who is staying in this council house, because we have a portfolio of social houses that belong to council, but also over a period of time, sometimes you can hardly keep track of who has the original lease and when do we renew. So what we then did was to also then say, let's invest in the housing module, which is work that's in progress right now, but also to also deal with the corruption involved with the waiting list. We have what's called a waiting list here in Zimbabwe. It's quite common in obviously one or two other Southern African countries, where when somebody wants to get be it a social house or land from the local authority, they have to go through a process where they apply and they're put on a waiting list. And then thereafter, the decision to award people is then done sometimes manually, but the housing modules, these housing modules are actually coming in with the ability to generate recommendations from a scientific point in terms of who of the applicants deserves to benefit ahead of every other person. So those are the things that we have done. We have created a fully-fledged ICTs department, and we would want to try and make sure that it is as functional as possible. About 2 years ago, we invested in a new a system of GIS, geoinformation systems for mapping of our water network is mapped, our sewer network is mapped, our different houses are all mapped, and everything we have tried to capture as much information as we can. Our land size is well captured, so that from a dashboard somewhere, somebody can be able to get a sense of the areas that need to be attended to in terms of redoing the water network, for example. And so we're using that data to then also justify the other works that we need to do in the future. One of the charges that we introduced in this 2025 budget was the first water repairs charge, which we are using to address old water infrastructure areas in terms of doing an overhaul in those areas. And one of the areas that is really helping us in terms of getting to make decisions is the GIS. And so these are some of the things that we are doing, and we still feel that there's so much we can do.
Looking ahead, what opportunities do you see for partnerships or community engagement to enhance Kariba's development?
I've always said that city-to-city diplomacy is going to really be the next most important aspect of international relations. And when we are looking at those statistics, where there's a projection that by 2050, 70% of Africa's population will be in urban centers. And that alone should be the fundamental basis for the need for increased relations between be it cities, be it organizations, different organizations, local and international, in terms of trying to make sure that we have the best urban centers. But number one, our water will remain a very crucial issue. And where there is always an opportunity, it's very important that partnerships around water and making sure that improvements are made, those partnerships are very important. Number two, one critical issue is addressing the future of energy as far as cities are concerned. And cities, particularly here in Zimbabwe, they can't do that on their own. We need to have thorough energy conversations. Do we create in residence solar farms? Do we work on a model where from now going forward, whatever residential area or town that is developed is from a mandatory point converted into a residence solar farm where every house has to be solar roofed, and that also transforms into some sort of a solar farm in a sense. So do we convert our power, our water treatment plants into mini micro nano hydro plants before we give the water to people, so that we address the question of energy, particularly clean and green energy? So we need a lot of cooperation and collaboration in that. Number three, in the case of Kariba, we have a lot of investment opportunities that we are offering out for the purpose of transforming our local economy. And obviously, we can't do that with just local resources. We need to really partner with a lot of other people. But beyond just the resources, in terms of financial resources, what we also need are ideas and intellectual resources that also are able to project for us a future that is better than what we are seeing as local Caribbean and so forth. But a future that probably will really make sense as we look at the global village closing in, especially after the recovery after COVID. People have started to talk about deglobalization, but we all know that we are going to just be one market. We're continuing to be one market, and so we need to be able to collaborate in terms of how we present ourselves to the rest of the world. And to do that, that picture can only be perfected if we work together with different people, different cities, different organizations, different ideas. And we really even appreciate the work that you're doing from your end in terms of trying to make sure that we come together and work towards smart cities for everybody.
A special thank you to Mayor Ralph Maoneyi from the Municipality of Kariba for this insightful conversation on Future Cities Africa.